It's the Underscore Special on North Country Public Radio, only here, in fact. For the next hour, we'll get to know 6 North Country musicians. We'll hear some new tracks from them, and we'll understand how the pandemic has been treating them. This is a project that we started about a year ago when the pandemic caused live venues to pretty much shut down. How have musicians coped over the past year? We'll hear from them only here on North Country Public Radio. I'm joined by Ethan Shanty, also a regional musician. Ethan, are you there?
I am here. Hi, Doyle.
Hi. So tell us, it is our fundraiser as well, our spring fundraiser, so we'd like to get that in the mix as well. Tell us how we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing all right during our fundraiser. Last night we passed the halfway mark, and that was really exciting, actually. And as of this afternoon, we're above $171,000, which is great. And you can support everything that we're doing, including the Underscore Project, at ncpr.org/give. And you know, as you said, Doyle, I am a regional musician, and so this is the longest I've ever gone without performing live.
Wow.
You know, it's been over 13, 14 months since I've played a live show. And so for me, it's been super cool to know that I'm part of an organization that is just trying to put the word out on regional musicians and help them spread their music. It's been really awesome to see the turnout that we've had for this.
Yeah, that's great. And so just to bring people up to speed, so what we did a year ago is we get these rather generic music beds from NPR during news programs like Morning Edition and All Things Considered. And what we've done is we've replaced them with instrumental music created by regional musicians. The Underscore Project, it's at ncpr.org/underscore. Let's get started with this new track from Ben Cato of Jay, and then I'll play the interview when I spoke to Ben late last year. So here's a new track from Ben Cato called Snapple in the Park on North Country Public Radio.
In our dying world, no one is cruel, nor unjust. We're struggling for survival. We kill or we die. There's no other choice.
This is music from Jay, New York native Ben Cato, the song Snapple in the Park. I spoke to Ben Cato back in November of 2020. Oh, I never introduced myself. My name is Doyle Dean. Hi, good afternoon. Anyway, I spoke with Ben Cato back in November of 2020. He was in Boston, where he studies music business and jazz composition at Berklee College of Music. Usually Ben's pretty busy on campus, attending classes, playing gigs, and honing his guitar skills in one of the school's many practice rooms. But this all changed when the pandemic hit. Here's a conversation with Ben Cato, part of the Underscore Project, only here on North Country Public Radio.
A lot of the music that I make on my own time differs quite a bit from the jazz tradition.
Tell me how you're doing with the pandemic. This has been a really difficult time for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to make music by myself and, I can stay sane. At the beginning of the year, January, I didn't know how to produce. I didn't know how to use a computer to record myself. I didn't know any of this stuff. And when the news came in that we were going to be locked down and we all had to stay indoors, I was like, okay, I don't want to wake up at the end of this pandemic or at the end of the quarantine and think I didn't accomplish anything. I didn't do anything. I wasted time. That really scared me. And so I was like, okay, I got to get something concrete done.
Because of the nature of the way your pieces are created, how do you know when something's done?
That was always the toughest thing for me when I was writing music before I actually put my album out. I'd write something and I'd come back to it weeks later and write some more, put it away, come back to it weeks later. And I started doing this thing, I think about a month and a half into quarantine. I was like, I'm going to write 1 minute of music every single day. And the next 30 days, I didn't miss a day because what else are you going to do in quarantine? And I just had that 1 minute of music and it was done. And that was it. I went back and I gave myself another day, 1 day on each of the songs to extend the length, kind of loop it a little bit and turn them into full songs. But I had to just keep it to that 1 day. You got to take your hands off the keyboard eventually and just tell yourself it's always going to sound a little messed up to me. It became the record, the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows.
I love that challenge you gave yourself. That's really cool. There's one tune I want to track down real quick and have you just talk about it for a second. It's Nobody's Fault.
Why are you wasting your time on me? Am I wasting my time?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of self-reflection that went into that song because when I first started writing that record, the first little bit of quarantine, I was going through a breakup. My girlfriend of about 2 years. It was a long distance thing, and we had split up, and that's the thing is we still really cared for each other, and it wasn't anyone's fault, and I think that's a very sobering life lesson to learn, when you're growing up, is that sometimes it can be no one's fault. It can be you both still, care for each other, but it's not going to work out. When you can't go anywhere and you're stuck in your house, you kind of you have nothing to do but really sit and think about, okay, well, could I have done this differently? Could we have worked it out? But sometimes you just got to put that into something other than words, and that's where that first track came from.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear. I'm sorry about your breakup.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time,
Of course.
and speaking with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, we just heard from Ben Cato from Jay New York. What a fun conversation. And, it's right here, only here on North Country Public Radio, that you're hearing music like this, music from the North Country. And it's our spring fundraiser. We'd love to hear from you now at ncpr.org/give. And we have a goal for this hour. Are you there, Ethan, to share our goal?
Yeah, I'm here. We're looking to get 10 donations during this hour while you're hearing music from the Underscore Project, while we're highlighting these artists from around the North Country. Looking to hear from 10 people at ncpr.org/give. Give $10, give $20, $10 a month, whatever works for you, and support everything that you hear on this station, whether it's the Underscore Project or it's All Things Considered or it's the Story of the Day from the NCPR news team. You know, we're always trying to improve what we do here at North Country Public Radio and look and see where see what sort of gap we can fill. And one of the things that I think we all noticed is that it can be a little difficult to know what's going on in the community, in the music community in the North Country sometimes. We're all really busy, and obviously we can't go to shows now. So that's part of the reason we've got the Underscore Project. You can see what regional musicians are doing, the interesting, really cool, different music that they're making. You know, we just heard from Ben Cato, and he's doing some wild, really interesting, like electronic music with some guitar in there too. We've got jazz trios, we've got folk music, we've got a lot of electronic stuff in there, and it's only here at North Country Public Radio, ncpr.org/give to make a contribution. And again, we want to hear from 10 donors. And another cool thing that we're doing is if you donate during this hour, we're going to put your name into the hat for a drawing for a $100 Visa gift card to use at any music store of your choice. So you can start making music for the Underscore Project too.
That sounds great. Thanks, Ethan. That's a great segue to the next musician, singer-songwriter Eddie Lawrence from Moira in Franklin County. He sent in some tracks for the Underscore Project that we've been using as on the air during our programming. And in March of this year, I spoke with this musician who's been a fixture in the North Country roots music scene for decades. Here's Eddie Lawrence on Underscore, only on North Country Public Radio.
The things that drive artists of all stripes are often misunderstood by non-artists. And I've had people over the years tell me, oh, it's great that you're following your dream and all this kind of stuff. And, well, I never think about it in that sense. It's a daily reality for me. You know, I'm not looking at someday I'm going to be extremely famous and wealthy. My greatest thrill is writing a new song, making a recording that works out well. That's what I do it for, you know. Standing up in front of 50 people and playing is like bliss for me. Okay, so I'm not following a dream, I'm living it.
Through the valley of the broken runs a river of wreckage, past a mountain range of metal in a wonderland of waste. I'm a soldier of misfortune in this jungle of rejection, riding herd on the discarded in a 10-ton crane.
What was it like for you when the pandemic came? This is, quite literally a year ago. Did you have a bunch of shows booked, or what was going on in your life at that point?
Well, let's just say it was very bad timing. I was booking gigs and things to go out and promote my album. And the last gig I played was on March 14th. All the things I was working towards in support of the album and playing just went right down the chute. All those gigs just disappeared because the venues are still not open.
Pharaoh wears a double crown. One stands up and one hangs down. One is white, one is red. A vulture's wing and a cobra's head. Pharaoh has a pair of graves, a big house in Memphis and a slew of slaves, fields of grain and olive groves. When I grow up, I wanna be Pharaoh. Now Pharaoh drinks from a royal vine. He got sister wives and concubines, servants to dress and feed and bathe him, singers and dancers to entertain him. He spends his life upholding Mot, and when he dies he becomes a god. In hieroglyphs his story is told. When I grow up I want to be Pharaoh.
You know, in order to survive in the music business, unless you're Mick Jagger, you have to have a pretty multifaceted approach to music. And I do my original music, and I play with bands, I do recording, I teach all kinds of things. And all of that stuff really just fell apart. This is the longest period of time I've ever gone without performing or anything.
Do you see a path forward? It just seems like this streaming world and making nothing from plays online or something has got to somehow be made up for with making money playing live shows or something. I don't know.
I think that there needs to be a reunification of artists and their audience. And at one time, when I sold CDs through my website or from stage, I can't tell you how many people I got to know really well. I have no idea who buys a streaming song from me. I mean, I can look at a graph and see where they live. I don't know who they are. So this disconnect between the audience and the artist is what needs to be bridged. I don't have an answer for how that happens, but I think that's the missing piece right now. I don't know if in your travels through my music, you found a song called 1931. But that's a song about the death of vaudeville, and I found it to be very pertinent to the times that we're in right now. That I've came across this old ventriloquist dummy in a pawn shop and wondered what the story of this thing was, and so it's written from the point of view of a ventriloquist dummy. I hate to call it a dummy; they're too smart for that.
In a beer hall in Columbus, me and Joey, we got our start. Every night for $1.25, we kept them laughing and drinking hard. The sharecroppers and the roustabouts, the mill hands and the small-time thieves all came to try a line on the wine room girls and to have themselves a time watching Joey and me. We took it on the road in 1890, played the dumps and the slabs, doing 2-week runs, living town to town till the lights went out in 1931.
Eddie Lawrence, thank you so much for your time, for chatting with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Doyle, and thanks to North Country Public Radio for being so supportive of people like myself, because we need it.
Joey's lips never moved at all, no matter what words he made me say. The way he worked my bars and levers, people swore I was flesh and bone. They could hear us clear back to the 20-cent seats without the benefit of the microphone. Warming up the jugglers and the hoofers and the tumblers under gas jets burning like a midnight sun. Living town to town till the lights went out in 1931. We played for the Doughboys in New York City. The Palace Theater was something to see. And then we worked a route on the Sunday school circuit for 60 Cent Albee and Grifter Keith. When they brought in the first one-reelers, Joey said there was nothing to fear. But then the mental act started getting the sack, and soon the knife throwers began to disappear. There were midgets and mimes in the soup kitchen lines. Defectives on the corners were singing the blues as the long winter nights of 29 were warmed by the glow of radio tubes. Then the straight to a day was laid in the grave. 5,000 theaters folded and shut. The curtains came down and the lights went out in 1931. In a pawn shop in Columbus, I went to sleep one rainy day.
That was Eddie Lawrence from Moira in Franklin County on Underscore. The Underscore special here on North Country Public Radio is what you're listening to. This broadcast is supported by Adirondack Artists Guild in Saranac Lake, a co-op of 15 local artists celebrating 22 years of bringing fine art to the Adirondacks. AdirondackArtistsGuild.com. And by CCOM Credit Union, serving the financial needs of people throughout the North Country, throughout northern New York, and Vermont, in person, online at ccom.org, and on your smartphone. Incidentally, all of the artists that you've been hearing today during this program, Underscore, and also during our news programming, we've got a nice database at ncpr.org/underscore. You can explore the many musicians featured and interviewed as part of the Underscore project. We've got a mini goal of 10 callers this hour. We'd love to hear from you now at 877-388-6277 or online at ncpr.org/give and support programming like this, regional programming only here on North Country Public Radio. Thanks to Catherine and Ted Kruger of Jeffersonville, Vermont. We love the music and keeping a connection to the North Country, they say. Also thanks to Mark in Tupper Lake, Teresa and Chris of Watertown. You be next at ncpr.org/give or at 877-388-6277. And now for our next musician here on the Underscore project, Lake Placid native Julie Catherine, performing under the name I Am Snow Angel. She sent in some tracks that we've been using during the Underscore project. She spoke with me from her current home in the Hudson Valley in October of last year. Here's I Am Snow Angel on Underscore.
I design virtual instruments. They can sound like synthesizers, they can sound like vocals, they can sound like string instruments. I design those instruments. They live inside a program that's called Ableton. And when the music maker buys this program and opens it, they can play these instruments that I've designed. They're virtual instruments, they're MIDI instruments, and they can be adjusted to sound kind of however you'd like them to sound.
I like how you gave them life. They live inside this program. They coming after us?
Well, some of them are intense, yeah.
We've been using some of your music during broadcasts of our news programs. I think these were instrumental mixes of songs that had vocals in them, correct?
And thank you for using them. You know, I grew up in Lake Placid and listened to NPR every day in the car with my parents, and then when I got a car, so it's really cool to be to be included. Yeah, I do produce my own music, and it has lyrics and melodies, and you know, it's kind of like a dream pop vibe.
Wrap around you in sunshine and roses, never let me go, never fly away, honeybee, honeybee, honeybee.
Julie Catherine used to make music in a different way, acoustic guitar, singer-songwriter style. It was going well, but she said she was getting bored. Everything changed one day when a colleague urged her to learn some basic computer audio skills.
They were just like these in-the-box, nothing special sounds that were in the computer. I didn't even know how to use them properly. I didn't really know how to do anything. And the minute I started doing it, I felt like this like rush of like I wanted to cry. It was so satisfying in the way that I thought, you know, being this kind of like Americana guitar artist, singer-songwriter, I thought that would bring me that feeling, and instead I got it from this kind of more electronic direction. And I just stumbled into it, thank God. I'm fortunate because this pandemic has been so hard on artists and musicians. It's been awful. It's devastating. For me, it wasn't as much of a change for two reasons. One is that I do a lot of production and also sound design work, which I can do on my own time. The other reason things didn't change for me as much is I had a baby last summer. Yeah, so when this hit, I was already, it wasn't like I was out touring or anything like that.
Can you look at, or is it too early maybe to look at what you're producing and see, this is in response to everything going on in the world?
It's so interesting because, I think a lot of artists have been and continue to, raise awareness and protest through their music. And I think it's really important. And I kind of thought that might happen for me. Instead, so far, what I see is I'm kind of diving farther into maybe kind of using the music production as meditation and really going into like a very lush sonic landscape. I need it. It's the thing that's getting me by. Like the reason I work on music every night is so I can survive emotionally.
That's Lake Placid native Julie Catherine performing under the name I Am Snow Angel. You're listening to the Underscore Special here on North Country Public Radio, regional programming that you get only here on North Country Public Radio. Ethan Shanty joins me. How's the fundraiser going, Ethan?
It's going really well, Doyle. Yeah, thanks for having me on for the Underscore Special. We've already heard from 6 people this hour, and we set a goal for ourselves of 10 people. We'd love to hear from 10 people, and we've already heard from 6 folks, including people in Jay and people in Brick, New Jersey as well. Again, a reminder that we are going to be doing a $100 gift card giveaway to anybody who donates during this hour. We'll put your name into a hat, and you'll get a $100 gift card to use at a music store of your choice, and you can start using whatever you get to make music for the Underscore Project. It's been really fun, honestly, like sitting in here and being able to listen to these interviews and listen to some of the music that people are making. And again, as I said earlier, just having this database of regional musicians is so helpful. It's really, really cool to see what everybody is up to in the North Country.
Yeah, it's been great. You can hear them during the Story of the Day that David Summerstein produces every weekday, and you can hear it during the morning edition, during the 8 o'clock hour as well. And I use them during All Things Considered. Many of us do. It's been so fun and really surprising the diversity of sound that we get.
Yeah, absolutely. And just not only being able to like play those songs on air, but also hear directly from the artists, like how and why they were inspired to make this music. It's really fascinating, especially now during the pandemic when all of us are stuck at home and not, especially us performers, not being able to get out on stage and share what we do. This is a really great resource for people and musicians in particular. We also heard today from Ann and Don Paulson in Bloomingdale. They say that we depend on North Country Public Radio for trustworthy, relevant, and current news, entertaining and enlightening shows, and for keeping us connected with our region and the world. And that's really what the Underscore Project is all about, connecting you to these regional musicians and providing you with just ways to hear them. It's awesome. I'm super glad we're doing it.
All right. Well, that's a great segue into the next performers, Ursa and the Major Key. It's a 5-piece group from Plattsburgh. They recently recorded their first album, and guitarist Eli Moore says the band has made the most of an opportunity that the pandemic presented. Here's Ursa and the Major Key on Underscore, only here on North Country Public Radio.
We did play a couple of shows before the pandemic hit, and we had more scheduled that we were really looking forward to, but it was a blessing in disguise because the COVID pandemic gave us an opportunity to really hone those recording skills and make sure that it actually sounded decent.
Everywhere she goes, she acts like everybody just forgets about her, even if she knows. When she turns round, the neighbors always talk about her. Everywhere she stays, she takes away the room and lets it decay. Everywhere she lays, her inspiration stays.
Why don't we go around actually and have you each introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Eli Moore, and I play guitar, and along with Tyler, we share rhythm and lead.
Say hi, Tyler.
Hi. Hi, Tyler.
I'm Nelson Moore. I'm the drummer.
I'm Vihan Wickramasinghe. I perform on the keyboards.
My name's Edward Morris. I am the bass player.
Where was this most recent record recorded?
Here.
Right here.
It was recorded in our sort of makeshift basement studio.
Well, it sounds really good. Congrats, you did a good job with that.
Thank you.
This is Nelson. A quick shameless plug for Cricket Studios.
Yeah, we named it Cricket Studios because last summer there were a whole lot of crickets making noise, and we had to get rid of them, and I think we successfully eradicated the population.
I'm not going to ask you how.
Of course, non-violently. We would catch and release.
Oh, that's really sweet. Is that true?
It
is. Yes.
On this recording that, feels fairly improvisational moments of it. What does it feel like personally when everything's just moving along nicely? Can you describe that?
This is Tyler. We're just talking to each other. We're having a conversation with our instruments. And as we get to know each other more, we learn to talk better, and different phrases and things like that we kind of throw at each other, and then we sort of riff off that, and it's sort of this back and forth thing where we're all building something, at the same moment.
This is Edward, and I think being friends helps with that for sure. We're all in contact with each other. We all know each other very well personally outside of the music, and that definitely connects.
Vihan here, and I like to speak in analogies. In terms of feeling, imagine you have a very, very large, oversized block of wax. And when you just get synced with everyone, when everything clicks, imagine you shaving off the perfect peel of wax. It's just oddly satisfying. It's hard to explain, but everything in the world is right. It's like a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's a high, and you seek that thrill of connecting spiritually, musically.
That sounds really good. That's Ursa and the Major Key from Plattsburgh. They spoke to me, Doyle Dean, as part of the Underscore Project here on North Country Public Radio. What we're doing over this hour, in case you just tuned in, is we're listening to some interviews and music from regional musicians from the North Country. And we've been using their instrumental music as part of our music beds during our programming here on North Country Public Radio, and featuring them today. Words and music from North Country musicians. Ethan Shanty joins me on the line. It is our spring fundraiser. How's it going, Ethan?
Hi, Doyle. How can I help you?
Well, you can get me a few more callers, right? That would make me really happy.
Yeah, I suppose I could try to do that. So it's easy to give to North Country Public Radio either at ncpr.org/give or by calling 877-388-6277. Am I shouting? Am I too loud? Am I good?
You're just fine. I'm going to move you to the back of the classroom, though.
That's fun. So again, yeah, we're trying to hear from 10 people this hour. There's about 20 minutes of music left, music and conversations during the Underscore project. And if you reach out to us, we'll drop your name in the hat for a gift card drawing, a gift card that you can use at any music store of your choice, whether that's in Potsdam or it's somewhere else in the North Country. Just give us a call, 877-388-6277, or drop us a comment at ncpr.org/give. And Doyle, I just have to say, like, I'm super, super happy on this and listening to this music and hearing what these musicians tick. It's really cool. I'm so glad that you're doing it.
Right. Thanks. And I've heard them a million times because I worked on it, but it is still really enjoyable to me. And if you're just tuning in by any chance, you can go to ncpr.org/underscore and you can see photos of all these guys and you can listen to the interviews again. Some of them are a little bit longer for the web because there is no time on the internet. So ncpr.org/underscore and also ncpr.org/give to help projects like this continue to happen here for North Country Public Radio. I'm going to pivot now to Burlington. Patricia Julian, she's a jazz flutist and a music professor. See, I'm so excited about this. At the University of Vermont, she told me she's been thinking a lot about how the pandemic may have changed her and how she works. I spoke with Patricia Julian in April of this year. And here's Patricia Julian on Underscore on North Country Public Radio.
I hope that I will come away from all this able to be a little bit more expressive in my day-to-day life. I strive to be expressive as a musician, and that feels like home to me. That's a place for me to kind of be emotional. But I'm hoping now that I'll actually be able to carry that into my real life a little bit more. I'm Patricia Julian. I'm a composer and jazz flutist.
Take me back to a year ago when everything happened.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gigging that frequently, but in town in Burlington a bit. And I have a quartet, the Patricia Julian Project, and we were supposed to record our next album last summer. All our rehearsals had to stop, and so we couldn't even really continue making progress toward eventually getting in the studio to make our next record. It's been so strange, Doyle, because I feel like, I've been practicing fairly regularly. It's been a little uneven. I'm not sure. I just feel like a different person as a musician. I feel like, I don't feel like a jazz musician at the moment, which is so sad to me because I haven't actually improvised with someone else live in over a year.
So you sent a piece my way that is a recent collaboration.
It's called And Gretel Hansel, and my collaborator is Chris Caswell. She is an area actor, writer, and artist, and it was her concept, and so it's kind of brilliant. She took the fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel and created visual images from some aspects of the story. She rearranged them sort of, I think it was mostly random. And that's why the title is And Gretel Hansel. And then she created this beautiful animation, which I love. It's so, I don't know, I found it so emotional to watch her work. And so we both kind of kept the story in mind and did our creative work separately, and then brought it together and did some revisions. And that was really fun, so much fun to work on.
Can you look back at what you performed and what you wrote and think about something, a takeaway?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I think one thing is that I'm appreciating that there are so many different ways to connect with other people. I miss the physical connections and I miss the face-to-face connections. But I also feel in some ways, because I've been craving some aspects of interaction, it's kind of helped me reach out in different ways. And that's been nice to see that that's possible. I have a friend who's a neighbor, and she's a writer and she's an actor. And so she's just a couple doors away from me. And she created outdoor offices for us. So she brought out some sidewalk chalk and she drew on the sidewalk so we would be 6 feet apart. And so we sometimes still meet in our outdoor office, even though we don't currently have a project together. And it's so fun. What was my point? Oh yeah, I warned her that I imagine that from now on I'm going to overstay my welcome at every friend's house.
Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it, Patricia.
Oh, thanks, Doyle. It's just so nice to chat with you.
That was Patricia Julian, a flutist and music professor at the University of Vermont. Part of our Underscore project. Over the last hour, we've been getting to know some regional musicians and learning how they've been dealing with the pandemic with venues closed and isolation in place. It's been difficult, but so resilient. So great to hear that people are finding ways to create wonderful music. And we've been sharing it here on North Country Public Radio. We've been using instrumental music from regional musicians as music beds during our programming. Ethan Shanty joins me to remind us that it's also our spring fundraiser. Hi, Ethan.
Hey, Doyle. Yeah, it's our spring fundraiser. We're just past $172,000 on a way to a goal of $300,000, and you can help get us there by calling 877-388-6277. Hold on, I'll say that again. 877-388-6277. Or if you don't want to use the phone, that's okay. You can go online, ncpr.org/give. Whatever works for you, whether that's $10 or $10 a month. Either one is cool with us, and it goes a huge way towards supporting programs like the Underscore Project, which in turn supports the North Country's musical community. We're so happy to be a part of this. I'm so happy to be here talking with you, a certified punk professional, the Doyle Dean. Doyle, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Ethan. No doubt. Yeah, it's been great to just really the variety of music that we've heard and just the different situations that these musicians are in. And that leads me to our next musician, Tim Ellifritz. He's an owner-operator of 10 Elephants Studios. No mistake on the name there. So it's got a little play on Tim Ellifritz. 10 Elephant Studios in Johnsburg. He sent in some tracks that we've been using, and I spoke to him back in August of 2020. And incidentally, Ellefritz has been doing some live stream chats with regional musicians Saturdays at 8, and you can search Facebook or YouTube for Tim Ellefritz, pretty unique name, he assures me, and you can connect that way. So that's Saturdays at 8 on Facebook and on YouTube. Tim Ellefritz live streaming some conversations with regional musicians, just like we're doing here on North Country Public Radio. And so here's Tim Ellefritz on Underscore.
I'm Tim Ellefritz. I'm a music producer, a musician, and a recording engineer in my own studio, 10 Elephant Studios, down here in Johnsburg, New York.
How has COVID-19 affected the way that you're able to do your business?
It has extremely impacted it. I set out to run a studio and do music as a full-time thing last September, almost a year ago. I left a job that I worked at for over 30 years. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I said, well, I'm going to give this a try, at least for as long as I can. And I did guitar lessons. I was working in 6 different acts that I was booking, anywhere from 2-piece duos to 5-piece bands. Starting to make a way at it, starting to record, and I set out to finish recording my own album over the winter. So I got all these gears going, all these parts turning. Then came coronavirus and March, and everything went flat. So I finished recording my album. What can you do? What can I do? Well, I can record all this stuff that I wanted to finish, that I set out 5 years ago to do. It takes a long time. I noticed that, people are starting to do things, live streams online, so I started going down the route of video. So now I have incorporated video into my studio also. You know, in the studio, we used to come in and everybody would go in one room, and then all your amplifiers would be in other rooms. Like my bottom floor has lots of rooms in it, so we'd have one big rehearsal room, and the drums are in there, and everybody stands in there, and they wear your headsets, and you listen to everything through your headsets, but you keep all your instrument amplifiers out in other rooms for isolation for recording, the way you do it. Well, we turned that into isolation rooms for people. So now I have 4 isolation rooms in my basement, each with a camera, HD camera, and everything comes upstairs to me. I'm up in the control room on the top floor of my house. Everybody else is downstairs. People can come in, they don't have to come into my house. Everybody that has to be near each other wears your mask, take all the proper precautions, and they can play that way. So I've done some recordings that way, and I've done some live streams for people that way that couldn't have the events that they wanted to do. They've come here, and I've streamed their presentation out to their audience.
So it sounds like you found a way to make it work.
Yeah, I'm making it. I'm trying.
Tell me what it's like to be behind the board when a band is working and everything's kind of flowing. And what's that like for you?
Capital FUN. I love it. It's awesome. I get charged out of it to sit here and get everything just right and have them do a good performance and capture that and give them a good product and then share it with them. Give it back to them. It's a blast. I love it.
That was Tim Ellefritz, owner and operator of 10 Elephants Studios in Johnsburg. He spoke with me, Doyle Dean, as part of our Underscore project here on North Country Public Radio. What we've done is we've reached out to regional musicians and asked them for instrumental tracks that we can use as music beds during our news programs, replacing what comes to us from the network feed. And we've found all manner of ways to incorporate regional music into our programming day. It's been wonderful, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Ethan Shanty is on the line. It is our spring fundraiser. How's it going, Ethan? Did we reach our 10-caller goal? Because there's still time.
Hey Doyle, I'm not quite sure if we reached that 10 caller goal. We're almost there in either case, and if you want to get your name into the hat before this program is over, before 1 o'clock, you can call us 877-388-6277 or visit ncpr.org/give and give us a couple bucks. Again, the donations that we get ensure that we can continue to bring you programs like Underscore and even expand the Underscore project. You know, we've talked to and heard from so many cool musicians this last hour, and there's a lot more at ncpr.org/underscore that we didn't have a chance to hear from today, maybe in the future, but you can check them out right now, like Sterling Brownell and Old Forge, Dan Berggren of Ballston Spa. There's also Caretaker, my friend Carter from Canton, and who else we got? Dogface from Winooski, Tim Ellifritz, who we did hear from. But that's the thing, is you can click on to ncpr.org/underscore, listen to the music that we're sharing there, and also get a link to their other music and find a new favorite band. It's all at ncpr.org/underscore. And give a couple bucks while you're there. Your support means that we can continue doing this and keeping us happy and healthy on public radio for years to come, right? If you reach out to us now, we're going to put your name into a hat for a $100 Visa gift card that you can use at a music store of your choice in this region. Spend $100 at a music store and start making music on your own, and send it to us, to the Underscore Project. Again, ncpr.org/underscore and ncpr.org/give to give us a couple bucks today.
That's right. And I just heard from Lizette. She says we're almost there on the 10 gifts in this hour. I think that's cool. 2 people away. You be next. You be one of the 2. It's there's a calling out there for you. You've heard the call. heed the call at ncpr.org/give or 877-388-6277. We'd love to hear from you. Be next. Support everything that North Country Public Radio does. It's a beautiful, sunny Friday, and what a way to cap it off than that just adrenaline rush of giving to support something that you enjoy so much. And if you've never given to North Country Public Radio before, if you've never given to support public radio, it's such a good feeling. You take ownership over the programming that you receive and enjoy. That's ncpr.org/give and 877-388-6277. And if you'd like to hear more from the musicians that we've been featuring here as part of the Underscore Project, ncpr.org/underscore.